Abraham Lincoln reportedly read every major newspaper he could access, not to find arguments that confirmed what he already believed, but to find the strongest possible case against his own position. Think about that for a moment. The man who is widely considered the greatest political communicator in American history spent significant time deliberately looking for reasons he might be wrong. When was the last time you did that with your own political beliefs? If you want to understand how to analyze politics, not just consume it, not just react to it, but genuinely analyze it with the kind of clarity that the great statesmen of history possessed, this video is built exactly for that. Because the men who shaped the modern world did not have better information than you. They had better analytical discipline, and that discipline is completely teachable. Here is the central problem with how most people analyze politics in 2026. We have more information available to us than any generation in human history. Every speech, every vote, every policy document, every expert opinion, instantly accessible. And yet political understanding, genuine, clear, analytical political understanding has arguably never been rarer. More information has not made us better thinkers. In many ways, it has made us worse ones. The 19th century statesman I am going to walk you through today operated with a fraction of the information we have access to. And they produced some of the clearest, most durable political thinking in recorded history. The difference was not information. It was method. Today, I am going to give you that method, extracted from three of the greatest political minds of the 19th century and rebuilt as a practical framework you can apply to any political issue you encounter today. Here is what we are covering. 1, why information abundance is making modern political thinkers worse, not better. 2, Lincoln's analytical method and what it looks like applied to current politics. 3, Bismarck's realpolitik lens, how to analyze what is actually true rather than what you wish were true. 4, Tocqueville's outsider framework, the analytical advantage of deliberate distance. 5, the gentleman's synthesis, a modern 5-step method built from all 3. This is political analysis for beginners done at the highest level. Let us start with the paradox. Here is something that sounds wrong, but is increasingly well supported by research into political cognition. Access to more political information does not automatically produce better political understanding. In many cases, it produces worse understanding because more information means more opportunities for confirmation bias to operate. Confirmation bias is the tendency to seek out, interpret, and remember information that confirms what you already believe while unconsciously dismissing information that challenges it. In a low information environment like 19th century America, a serious thinker had to engage with opposing arguments simply because those were the arguments available. You could not curate your information environment the way we can today. In a high information environment like 2026, a person can spend their entire day consuming political content that perfectly confirms every belief they already hold. And that person will feel more informed. They will be less informed. The 19th century statesmen were forced by circumstance to think analytically. We have to choose to. And that choice, the deliberate decision to apply analytical discipline to political information rather than simply react to it, is the entire foundation of how to think critically about politics. Now let us look at what that discipline actually looked like in practice, starting with Lincoln. Lincoln's political genius was not primarily rhetorical. It was analytical. His famous cabinet of rivals the deliberate decision to surround himself with his most capable political opponents rather than his most loyal supporters was not a gesture of magnanimity. It was a strategic, analytical choice. Lincoln understood something that most political actors never grasp. The people most likely to show you where you are wrong are the people who most strongly disagree with you. And being shown where you are wrong before your opponents show the public is an enormous strategic advantage. Here is how you apply Lincoln's analytical method to any political issue today. Before you form a position on any political topic, find the single most intelligent, most well-informed person you can who holds the opposing view, not the weakest version of the opposing argument, the strongest version. Read it, understand it, be able to articulate it accurately. Then form your position. If you cannot accurately summarize the opposing argument to the satisfaction of someone who holds it, you do not yet understand the issue well enough to have a credible opinion on it. That single practice, what philosophers call Steelmanning, would eliminate the majority of political arguments that currently dominate public discourse. Because most political arguments are not between opposing positions. They are between opposing caricatures of positions. Lincoln political strategy at its core was this: know your opponent's position better than they know yours. That is still the most powerful analytical habit in politics. Otto von Bismarck is one of the most effective political strategists in modern European history and one of the most misunderstood. The concept he is most associated with realpolitik is frequently misread as cynicism or amorality. It is neither of those things. Properly understood, realpolitik is an analytical commitment to assessing political reality as it actually is, rather than as you wish it were. Here is the Bismarckian analytical question applied to any political situation. What is actually happening here, stripped of all narrative, all partisan framing, all emotional investment, not what should be happening, not what you believe ideally ought to happen. What is actually, demonstrably, structurally happening? Bismarck famously described politics as the art of the possible. That framing is analytically useful because it forces you to separate what you want from what is achievable given the actual constraints, institutional, political, economic, social of the current moment. When you apply this to how to analyze politics today, the Bismarckian question becomes, what are the actual constraints on each actor in this situation? Not the stated constraints, the actual ones. A politician who says they want to reduce the deficit but consistently votes for spending increases is not confused or hypocritical. They are operating within electoral constraints that make deficit reduction politically impossible in their district. Bismarck would not waste energy being frustrated by that reality. He would map it accurately and work within it. That is realpolitik as an analytical tool, and it is extraordinarily useful. Alexis de Tocqueville arrived in America in 1831 as a young French aristocrat tasked with studying the American prison system. What he produced instead was the most penetrating analysis of American democracy ever written by someone who had never lived here. The outsider's analytical advantage is real and significant. Tocqueville could see things about American political culture that Americans themselves could not see precisely because he had no emotional investment in the conclusions. He was not defending American democracy or attacking it. He was observing it with the detached precision of a naturalist studying a previously undiscovered species. Here is how you apply Tocqueville's framework to political analysis today. Deliberately imagine yourself as an intelligent outsider encountering this political issue for the first time. No prior beliefs, no tribal loyalties, no emotional investment in the outcome. What would that person observe? What would strike them as strange or inconsistent? What would they notice that participants in the debate are too close to see? This is one of the most powerful analytical moves available in political thinking, and it is almost never used because it requires you to temporarily set aside the identity investments that most political engagement is built on. Tocqueville saw American democracy's tendency toward what he called the tyranny of the majority, the social pressure to conform to popular opinion, even in a society formally committed to individual liberty. He saw it clearly because he was not inside it. What would a Tocqueville see in American politics in 2026 that participants on both sides are too close to notice? Here is the gentleman's synthesis, a modern 5-step analytical method built from all 3 frameworks. Apply these 5 steps to any political issue and you will understand it more clearly than the majority of people who have followed it for years. Step 1, context first. Where did this issue come from? What problem was it originally designed to address? Never analyze a political event in isolation from its history. Step 2, Steelman every side. Lincoln's method. Find the strongest version of every significant position in the debate, not the weakest. Be able to articulate each one accurately before forming your own view. Step 3, map the actual constraints. Bismarck's method. What are the real institutional, electoral, financial, and social constraints on each actor? Not what they say constrains them, what actually does. Step 4, observe from distance. Tocqueville's method. Imagine yourself as an intelligent outsider encountering this issue for the first time. What do you notice that participants cannot see? Step 5, project the consequences. Short-term and long-term. Who bears the costs of each possible outcome? Who captures the benefits? And are those the same people? Context, Steelman, constraints, distance, consequences. That is the complete analytical framework. 5 steps. Any issue, any election, any debate. Here is the gentleman's verdict. The men who shaped the political landscape of the modern world did not have access to more information than you. They had more analytical discipline than you, and that discipline was the product of deliberate habit, not natural genius. Lincoln chose to seek opposing arguments. Bismarck chose to see reality as it was rather than as he wished it were. Tocqueville chose to observe from deliberate distance. Every one of those choices is available to you right now. The question is not whether you have the capacity for this kind of political analysis. The question is whether you are willing to build the habit. That is what I mean when I talk about political intelligence as a skill rather than a trait. It is built deliberately over time with the right framework and the right practice. If this breakdown gave you a clearer picture of how to analyze politics, subscribe to this channel. Because every video I publish builds on this framework with new topics, new applications, and new historical examples. My online course is available now at kentpolitics.com/courses lifetime access for $997. It takes everything I have covered across this channel and builds it into a structured, progressive curriculum. And if you want to work directly with me, my one-on-one coaching program details and application are at kentpolitics.com/coaching and kentpolitics.com/application. Both links are in the description below. My name is Kent Tran. This is The Political Gentleman. Next video, we make the direct case for why every ambitious young man needs to understand American politics. And I promise you, the argument is not the one you are expecting.